The sun, a blood-red stain on the horizon. Dawn breaks over Thermopylae, 480 BC. 300 Spartans, bronze and leather shimmering, stand ready. Ahead, a sea of Persians, countless as the sands, awaits their command. King Leonidas, his eyes like iron, surveys his men. They are Spartans, they fear no man. Today, they face an empire. Dust plumes rise in the distance, a tide of men and horses, chariots and war cries. Xerxes, the god king, has come to crush Greece beneath his heel. He has brought a force meant to break the world. He has yet to meet Spartans. The air crackles with anticipation. The clash of civilizations is at hand. This is no mere battle. It is a fight for freedom. A fight for every man, woman, and child in Greece. It is a fight for the very soul of the West. This is Thermopylae. Greece, a land of sun-drenched islands and rugged mountains, a land of philosophers and poets, of democracy and dreams, but also a land fractured, a mosaic of city-states, each jealous of its neighbor. Athens, proud and prosperous. Sparta, austere and unyielding. Corinth, Thebes, Argos, all bound by language and blood, yet often at odds. Then came the Persians, a conquering storm from the east. Led by Darius, then his son Xerxes, they swept across the land, swallowing cities and nations whole. Their ambition knew no bounds, their hunger for power, insatiable. Greece stood on the brink. The Persian threat forced the Greeks to confront a terrifying truth: stand together, or fall divided. Old rivalries were set aside. A fragile alliance formed, uniting disparate states against a common enemy. Their survival now depended on unity, on courage, on sacrifice. Sparta, a name that echoes through the ages, whispered in tales of valor and sacrifice. A city-state unlike any other, carved from stone and legend, where every citizen was shaped by the demands of survival and war. From the moment of birth, a Spartan's life was dedicated to one purpose: war. Weakness was not tolerated, and strength was the only virtue that mattered. Infants deemed unfit were abandoned, left to the elements, a harsh beginning that forged only the strongest survivors. Boys, at the tender age of 7, were ripped from their homes and thrust into the agoge, the brutal system of Spartan training. Family ties were severed, replaced by loyalty to the state. They endured harsh discipline, relentless physical challenges, and constant tests of their courage. Hunger, pain, and fear became their daily companions. Even theft was encouraged, as long as they were not caught. Cunning was as prized as strength. They were taught to fight as one, a single, lethal unit. The phalanx was their shield, their brotherhood their armor. Their shields were their brothers, their spears their will. Each man's life depended on the strength and discipline of the man beside him. To return home without their shield was the ultimate shame, a sign of cowardice, of abandoning one's comrades in battle. To return home without their life, an honor. Death in battle was the highest glory, a sacrifice celebrated by all of Sparta. At the helm of this warrior society stood Leonidas, their king. He was more than a ruler, he was a living symbol of Spartan discipline and courage, a man of unwavering resolve and iron will. He embodied the Spartan ideal, inspiring his people to greatness. When the call to arms echoed through the valleys of Greece, Leonidas answered without hesitation, ready to defend his homeland at any cost. He chose 300 Spartans, veterans all, to stand against the Persian tide. Each man was selected for his valor, his loyalty, and his unbreakable spirit. They would be a beacon, a line drawn in the sand, a symbol of resistance that would echo through history. They would show the world what it meant to be Spartan, unyielding, united, and forged in fire. Thermopylae, the Hot Gates, a narrow pass between towering cliffs and the crashing waves of the Aegean Sea, a place of stark beauty and strategic brilliance. It was here that Leonidas chose to make his stand. The narrow passage negated the Persian advantage in numbers. It funneled the enemy into a killing ground where Spartan discipline and training would prevail. Here at Thermopylae, a handful of free men would hold back the might of an empire. The Greeks fortified the pass, rebuilding an ancient wall and preparing for the onslaught. They knew the odds were stacked against them, yet their spirits remained unbroken. They were fighting for their homes, their families, their very way of life. They were fighting for freedom, and for that, they were prepared to die. The Persians arrived, a seemingly endless wave of humanity crashing against the Greek lines. Their numbers stretched as far as the eye could see, banners fluttering in the wind, armor glinting beneath the harsh sun. The ground trembled beneath the synchronized march of thousands, a living tide determined to sweep away all resistance. The air filled with the deafening roar of battle, shouts of command, the clash of metal and the cries of the wounded mingling into a single, overwhelming cacophony. Dust rose in thick clouds, obscuring friend and foe alike as chaos reigned across the narrow pass. Persian arrows blotted out the sun, raining down in deadly waves. Yet the Spartan formation held, unwavering as if rooted to the earth itself. Their shields, a wall of bronze, deflected the missiles with a resounding clang. Each man trusted the shield of his comrade, knowing that their survival depended on unity. Their spears, thrusting in unison, cut down the enemy ranks with ruthless precision. Every movement was practiced, every strike a testament to years of relentless training. Again and again the Persians attacked, only to be hurled back by the Spartans and their Greek allies. The defenders fought shoulder to shoulder, their resolve unbroken despite the relentless onslaught. The ground ran red with blood, the air thick with the stench of death and sweat. Bodies lay strewn across the field, silent witnesses to the ferocity of the struggle. For 2 days the Greeks held firm, their discipline and ferocity a shock to the Persian host. Each hour tested their endurance, but their spirit never wavered. Xerxes, watching from his golden throne, grew enraged by the defiance of these so-called barbarians. He had expected an easy victory, not this stubborn resistance. The Spartan phalanx proved an impenetrable barrier, blocking the narrow pass and denying the Persians any hope of a swift breakthrough. This tight formation, shields interlocked, spears bristling outward, moved as one, a single, deadly organism. Every man was part of something greater, a living wall of courage and steel. It was a testament to their training, their discipline, and their unwavering bond of brotherhood. In the face of overwhelming odds, the Spartans and their allies stood together, unbreakable, their courage echoing through the ages. On the third day a shadow fell upon the Greeks. Ephialtes, a local shepherd driven by greed, betrayed them. He showed the Persians a secret path, a goat track that wound its way through the mountains, bypassing the hot gates. Leonidas was informed of the betrayal. He knew then that they were fighting a losing battle. The Persians would soon be upon them, surrounding the Greeks and cutting off any chance of escape. He gathered his 300 Spartans. He gave them a choice: stay and fight, knowing death was certain, or retreat and live to fight another day. There was no hesitation. The Spartans, their faces grim but resolute, chose to stay. They had taken an oath to defend Greece, and they would uphold it to their dying breath. Their sacrifice would buy precious time for the other Greeks to regroup, to live and fight another day. The final battle was upon them. The Persian army, now flanking them from the rear, surged forward like a tidal wave. Still the Spartans stood their ground, a small island of defiance in a sea of enemies. They fought with the fury of cornered wolves, their spears thirsty for blood. Leonidas, his voice a roar above the din, urged his men forward. They fought with the knowledge that their families, their city, their very way of life depended on their sacrifice. They fought with the courage that only those who have stared death in the face can possess. They fought like Spartans. The battle raged. The sun climbed higher, casting long shadows over the carnage. One by one the Spartans fell, their bodies riddled with arrows and wounds. Yet still they fought on, their courage unwavering. Finally, only a handful of Spartans remained, their king among them. Leonidas, wounded but unbroken, fought with the strength of 10 men. He fell, his body pierced by countless spears. The remaining Spartans, their shields a wall around their king, fought until their last breath, selling their lives dearly. The Persian army had won the day, but at a terrible cost. The sacrifice of the 300 Spartans, their unwavering courage and defiance in the face of overwhelming odds, echoed throughout Greece and beyond. Their stand at Thermopylae became a symbol of resistance against tyranny, a beacon of hope in the face of despair. Thermopylae, a battle lost, a legend born. In the shadow of those ancient cliffs where the morning mist clings to the stones, echoes of valor still linger. The ground itself seems to remember the clash of shields, the cries of warriors, and the unwavering resolve that turned defeat into immortality. The 300 Spartans, though vanquished, achieved something far greater than victory. Their stand was not just a moment in time, but a message to the world that the spirit of resistance, the willingness to sacrifice for a greater good, can echo across centuries. They ignited a fire in the hearts of free men everywhere. That fire, once kindled, has never truly gone out. It burns in every act of courage, every stand against injustice, every refusal to surrender to despair. Their story, passed down through generations, continues to inspire, to remind us that even in the face of insurmountable odds, courage and sacrifice can alter the course of history. Around fires and in classrooms, in books and in whispered tales, the legend of Thermopylae endures, shaping the dreams and convictions of those who hear it. What lessons can we, the inheritors of their legacy, draw from their sacrifice? How do we carry forward the torch they lit? And what does it mean to be a Spartan in our own time? We may not face Persian armies or fight with bronze and shield, but we all face our own Thermopylae. Each of us stands at the crossroads of fear and hope, challenged by obstacles that seem insurmountable, tested by moments that demand everything we have. We all have our own battles to fight. They may not be fought on blood-soaked fields, but in the arenas of our daily lives, at work, at home, within ourselves. It is in the face of adversity that our true character is revealed. When the world seems darkest, when hope flickers, that is when we discover what we are truly made of. It is in the darkest hours that we find the strength to stand tall, to fight for what we believe in, to protect those we love. The storms we weather forge us, just as the Spartans were forged by their trials. The Spartans at Thermopylae remind us that courage is not the absence of fear, but the triumph over it. To be brave is to act, even when your heart is pounding and your hands tremble. They remind us that sacrifice is not a burden, but a privilege. To give of ourselves for others, to stand up when it matters most, is the highest calling we can answer. They remind us that even the smallest act of defiance can ignite the flames of hope and inspire others to fight for a better tomorrow. A single voice, a single gesture, can ripple outward and change the world. The Spartan spirit is not just found in grand gestures or epic battles, but in everyday acts of kindness, resilience, and solidarity. It lives in those who refuse to give up, who lift others up, who choose hope over fear. The Spartan spirit lives on, not just in the history books, but in the hearts of all who dare to stand up for what is right, to fight for freedom, to embrace courage in the face of fear. We all have a Spartan within us. That inner strength, that quiet resolve is waiting to be awakened. The question is, will we answer the call? Will we rise to meet our own challenges and become legends in our own right?